All right, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. On your way in, man, hit that like button, man. Share the video. Comment down below because I like seeing people's comments. I love seeing your guys' comments. And subscribe to the channel if you're new. Today, we're going to be reacting to a video from the channel Underworld. And it's called Natural Disasters That Could Happen in 2026. Once again, I appreciate everybody love and support, man, on the last video. It's greatly appreciated. And without further ado, y'all, let's go ahead and get into this thing, man. Drop a like. Be appreciated.
Sea volcano off the coast of Oregon, and a landslide in Alaska that's threatening one of America's strangest cities, to an earthquake in Japan that could claim over 250,000 lives, and a shift in weather patterns that's pushing tornadoes into urban America. Here are natural disasters that could happen in 2026.
Oh yeah, and by the way, the link to the original video to this video will be down in the description. Go show them some love.
Roughly 300 miles off the coast of Astoria, Oregon, at a depth of over 4,600 feet, lies one of the world's most active and closely monitored volcanoes. It's called Axial Seamount, an underwater shield volcano that many scientists believe is due to erupt in 2026. But how do we know this? And if it does erupt, what kind of threat does it pose to the Pacific Northwest? Thanks to an extensive network of underwater cables, Axial Seamount basically has eyes on it at all times. Over the years, volcanologists have used these networks to chart Axial's eruptive pattern. They describe it as an inflating balloon, a balloon that thankfully doesn't just pop. Instead, Axial Seamount displays inflating and deflating behavior. For several years, it'll expand like you're blowing up a balloon. But instead of filling it with air, you're filling it with magma. When Axial is ready to erupt, it simply deflates, as if you stopped pinching the end to let the air out slowly. All that magma leaks into the ocean and solidifies as it cools. The last time Axial Seamount blew its lid was in 2015. Before that was 2011, and before that was 1998. Scientists have circled 2026 on their eruptive calendar due to the level of magma inflation and its relationship to prior eruptions.
Oh boy.
It's described as being near the threshold, meaning that the massive underwater magma balloon can't take much more. Should we be worried? Should we panic? Should people on the Oregon coast hightail it to higher ground? No, they shouldn't. Axial Seamount could be erupting right now, and the only people who would know are those watching the cameras. The volcano is so far off the coast and deep below the water that it poses no threat to human life on land. You wouldn't even feel the ground shake if you were relaxing on the beach. So, if Axial isn't dangerous, why do we care so much? The simple answer is science. Because it's so accessible, the area has become a deep-sea laboratory for understanding how volcanoes behave before they erupt. That said, predicting volcanic eruptions anywhere in the world is tricky at best. Predicting them weeks or even months ahead of time is nearly impossible. So, if Axial can help us make the near impossible slightly more possible, and thus save more lives, then it's a volcanic network that is worth every dollar. Thankfully, the people of Oregon have nothing to worry about, unlike those in Naples, Italy, who may be sitting on a ticking time bomb that could literally unleash hell on Earth. In Roman and Greek mythology, the Campiflegrae volcano has always been depicted as the opening to the underworld. The 8-mile-wide caldera encompasses most of Naples and stretches south to the Gulf of Pozzuoli. Prehistoric eruptions once blocked out the sun, turning the Italian summer into a brutal winter while covering Europe and Russia in a thick layer of volcanic ash. Now, the supervolcano is stirring again, showing signs that scientists claim it hasn't displayed in centuries. Roughly 500,000 people live in what Italy calls the Red Zone, an area that, if Campi Flegrei erupted, would be completely wiped out. The only thing that would save them is prior warning and a solid evacuation plan. That's because Campi Flegrei would release an unfathomable amount of volcanic matter superheated to over 1,400 degrees.
Damn!
It would spread from the eruption site at speeds between 30 and 60 miles per hour. Picture a giant wave of lava moving as fast as cars on the highway. Meanwhile, 800,000 people living in the yellow zone would be subject to significant volcanic ash fallout. Millions of lives would be upended, and the landscape of Europe as we know it would likely change forever. Unlike axial seamount, Campi Flegrei would explode like a balloon filled with gunpowder. The eruptive column would stretch roughly 18 miles into the sky and spread rapidly with the wind. As the ash falls and settles, enough would accumulate that its sheer weight could collapse the roof of your home. An increase in seismic activity near Campi Flegrei has got many Italian scientists worried. In 2010, they only recorded 26 earthquakes in the area. The number shot to 1,500 in 2022, 3,300 in 2023, and 5,500 in 2025. They're also getting stronger, with 5 of the most recent quakes exceeding 4.0 in magnitude. In June of 2025, a 4.6 magnitude earthquake was strong enough to crack walls and send people fleeing from their homes. Another red flag is something called bradyseism, the slow rising and sinking of the ground caused by pressure building beneath the caldera. Entire neighborhoods have risen and fallen several feet over the years. It's as if the giant volcano is breathing, causing the ground to rise and fall with each long 1,000-year breath. Between now and the last major eruption, roughly 15,000 years ago, scientists believe the ground has risen about 85 feet. Now, it's moving again, rising 4.6 feet since 2005, and it's only getting faster. At the old port in Pozzuoli, some fishing boats sit stranded in the tall grass, marooned on land that's literally risen out of the sea. You can even see the effect on ancient Roman columns, with mollusk fossils appearing halfway up, showing how they've emerged above water over the years. One thing that you learn very soon is that we do not have control, said one local scientist. That, however, doesn't bother the people of Naples. The volcano is part of their culture, and they've come to live in harmony with it. Sure, they get scared, even terrified at times, but they will never leave.
Damn, nature, you scary.
Whittier, Alaska is one of the most interesting towns in America. It's home to roughly 220 people, almost all of whom live in the Begich Towers condominium, a Cold War-era holdover that sticks out like a brutalist thumb in the middle of nowhere. Hopefully, it's enough to protect the people from a tsunami that's threatening to flood the entire area. Roughly 30 miles northeast of Whittier is the Barry Arm Fjord. On its banks rest 500 million cubic meters of rock that could slip into the water at any moment, triggering a 1,000-foot tsunami. The tsunami would travel upwards of 90 miles per hour across Prince William Sound, posing a significant threat to small boats and massive cruise ships alike. Despite shrinking to 33 feet by the time it reached Whittier, the wave would still cause widespread destruction. Scientists based this prediction on past events, specifically the 1964 Prince William Sound earthquake. The tremor triggered a similar-sized wave, causing roughly $10 million of property damage in Whittier. Adjusted for inflation, that would be like causing over $100 million in damage today. The 1964 tsunami claimed the lives of 13 locals at a time when Whittier was just a small community of 70 people. It destroyed 2 sawmills, an oil tank farm, several coastal buildings, and the Alaska Railroad depot. The water had so much power behind it that it drove a 2-foot plank through a truck tire with ease. The landslide hazard has existed
My
since the
lord.
early 20th century, but it's only been under the microscope since 2020. Recent studies suggest that the unstable slope is moving faster than ever before, at a rate of 1.6 to 2.7 inches per day. In 2022, researchers noticed more rapid acceleration, which they classified as possible signs of impending failure. As of 2026, the Barry Arm landslide shows no signs of imminent collapse, but small-scale failures on the surface still pose a localized tsunami threat. All it takes is a tiny push, and the whole thing falls like 500 million cubic meters of unstable dominoes. For the record, that's about 40 trillion dominoes.
I might get canceled for saying this, but most of the emotional weight that
Boy,
you carry every single
I
day
tell you.
is stuff that you were never meant to hold.
15 million. That's how many people are in the crosshairs of this next natural disaster. That'd be like an earthquake taking out all of Tokyo, or a tornado outbreak destroying half of Texas. However, this natural disaster isn't isolated to one part of the world. It exists in the tallest mountains and overlooks
is
some
beautiful.
of the poorest
That is really
villages.
beautiful.
It can strike without warning, arrive within minutes, and last for hours, sometimes even days. We're talking about glacial lake outburst floods, or GLOFs for short, a phenomenon that has gotten significantly worse over time with few signs of getting better. Of those 15 million people at risk, almost all of them live in 4 countries: Pakistan, China, India, and Peru. In South America, they live in the shadow of the Andes Mountains, while those in East Asia are worried about floods from the Himalayas. Glacial lakes form in 2 main ways. Moraine-dammed lakes occur when glaciers retreat and water fills the void. The retreating glaciers leave behind piles of rock and dirt, effectively building a natural dam. Meanwhile, ice-dammed lakes form when the glacier itself acts as the barrier. Both can occur on natural flowing rivers, thus causing water to build behind the wall. These lakes can grow to mind-numbing sizes, with some exceeding 1,000 Olympic swimming pools. That's roughly 660 million gallons of water waiting to burst at any minute. The number and size of glacial lakes worldwide has grown rapidly since 1990. When they fail, it's typically due to cracks forming in the moraine dam or a rapid influx of rain or meltwater that causes the lake to overflow. Landslides can also trigger glacial lake tsunamis that rise over the dam and race down the mountain. In the worst-case scenario, the dam fails completely, causing all the stored water to rush out at once. Past failures have reached peak flows of 15,000 cubic meters per second. They've turned stable mountain streams into raging torrents, some as deep as 160 feet. Imagine a 15-story wall of water racing toward your village at almost 80 miles per hour. Nobody's asking if a glacial outburst flood will occur in 2026. It's more like when and where. The world is constantly moving. That's due to these things called tectonic plates, which are large pieces of Earth's crust that exist many miles beneath your feet. These plates are constantly rubbing or dipping below each other. When that happens, pressure builds, and when it builds too much, we get these things called earthquakes. Millions of earthquakes occur each year. Of them, only about 500,000 are detectable, and of those, only 100,000 can be felt. Finally, of the ones we feel, only 100 will ever cause any damage. The USGS predicts that roughly 16 major earthquakes, those reaching magnitude 7 or higher, will occur somewhere on Earth each year. And while it's impossible to predict when, most scientists have a good idea of where. Welcome to Japan, a country of 124 million people living atop the world's largest seismic network. Below them is the convergence of 4 major plates: the Pacific.
I mean, just look at that, bro. I know the video's a little a little dark because it's talking about natural disaster, but look at that. That's beautiful. Looks like a background for your PC. Look like a wallpaper for your PC.
Philippine,
Beautiful.
Eurasian, and North American. The point of tension, however, is between two minor plates, the subducting Philippine Sea Plate and the overriding Amurian Plate. This 500-mile subduction zone, known as the Nankai Trough, is where scientists believe a catastrophic earthquake of 9+ magnitude could strike. And they have a hunch it'll happen sometime soon. In 2025, a government panel revised its earthquake prediction, saying that the likelihood of one happening in the next 30 years is between 60 and 94%. According to Naoshi Hirata, a U-Tokyo professor and the head of the Earthquake Research Committee, such a tremor may come within a year. Megaquakes typically occur in this region once every 90 to 150 years, with the last one, a magnitude 8, striking in 1946. That puts the Nankai Trough in the immediate danger zone should another massive quake arrive toward the earlier end of the spectrum, perhaps as early as 2026. The shaking is one thing. It's the aftermath that keeps most Japanese scientists up at night. A catastrophic earthquake would generate massive tsunamis that could reach coastal communities within minutes. Just look at what happened on March 11th of 2011, when an earthquake and tsunami tag team caused a meltdown at the Fukushima power plant. Tsunami waves could exceed 30 feet along parts of Japan's southern coastline. And while they sport one of the world's most advanced earthquake warning systems, it still can't warn people in time for full-scale evacuations. According to the Japanese government, if such an earthquake did strike, it would claim roughly 298,000 lives and cause economic losses upwards of $1.8 trillion.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Insane, bro.
In 2025, roughly 1.51 million square miles of land were lost to wildfires worldwide. Imagine an inferno so large that it covers almost all of the European Union. While most of these events occurred in Africa, burning nearly 1 million square miles of land, the most costly event occurred in Los Angeles, with estimated economic losses of $53 billion. And the worst part? Experts believe they'll only get worse in 2026. That's due to two main factors: record-breaking global temperatures and the transition away from a La Niña period. Data shows that the past 11 years have been the warmest on record, with 2023, 2024, and 2025 ranking first, second, and third respectively. It doesn't take a master's degree or a bunch of fancy machines to know that the warmer it is, the more fires are likely to occur. Of course, for fire to spread, it needs something to burn. That's where the changing weather patterns come into play. First, let's understand the difference between the two types, La Niña and El Niño. La Niña is when Pacific sea surface temperatures are cooler than average, basically anything 5 degrees or more. El Niño is the opposite. These patterns fall under the umbrella title El Niño Southern Oscillation, or ENSO. When we aren't on either side, we're in what's called ENSO neutral. As of January of 2026, there is a 68% chance that we'll be moving out of La Niña into ENSO neutral sometime in March. This means more winter rain and snow, followed by a warmer spring. The worry is that excessive growth could dry by the summer, leaving nothing but kindling come wildfire season. This, however, depends on where you live. La Niña typically increases wildfire risk in the southwestern US, Florida, and parts of Canada due to drier, warmer conditions. Meanwhile, El Niño brings
I remember when
cool,
Canada was
wet
going
weather
through, like
to
when they had the
southern
wildfires,
US, suppressing fires there, but causing drought and fire in the Pacific Northwest and Canada. It's too early
and
to tell
Hawaii.
if 2026
I think
will
Hawaii
be worse than years past, but local firefighters aren't taking any
Was dealing with
chances.
that too.
In places like rural Oklahoma, where 2025 brought some of the worst outbreaks in state history, firefighters across the region are gearing up for something even worse. Every year, roughly 1,200
Tornadoes!
tornadoes touch down
We all
in the
deal with
United
those.
States. While they can strike anywhere at any time,
Yep.
most of them, especially the large twisters, center on a place called Tornado Alley, USA. That, however, might be changing. For the longest time, Tornado Alley hovered over the Great Plains region, spanning from northern Texas to South Dakota. This puts cities like OKC, Wichita, Topeka, and Lincoln in harm's way, along with their combined population of over 1.5 million people. Severe storms are common in this region due to its tornado-friendly geography. Western winds flow off the Pacific Ocean and lose their moisture as they roll over the Rocky Mountains. They become high, dry, and cool, soon mixing with moist, warm air flowing northwest off the Gulf of Mexico. The flat land allows the winds to move uninterrupted at differing altitudes until they inevitably collide. That collision causes unstable air and wind shear, thus fostering the perfect conditions for powerful tornadoes. According to recent data, that perfect mixture is slowly drifting east of the Mississippi River, endangering states like Arkansas, Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, Tennessee, and Kentucky. This region is known as Dixie Alley, and it's roughly 3 times more densely populated than the Great Plains. Researchers have also noticed Tornado Alley shifting northward towards states such as Iowa, Illinois, Indiana, and Missouri. U.S. tornado data from 1954 to 2018 shows that this shift has been happening slowly over the past 30 years. That said, it doesn't mean that the Great Plains will see fewer tornadoes moving forward. They'll still be the hotspot, while other parts of the country simply catch up. The primary fear is population density, even in rural areas. For example, Alabama's rural population density is about 10 people per square kilometer. Meanwhile, out in western Oklahoma, the population density is about 1/10 of a person per square kilometer.
Ain't nobody
Higher
out there.
poverty levels in the southeast also put these families at risk
Damn.
when recovering after the storm. It's worth noting that big city tornadoes in general are extremely rare. Only 3% of the total U.S. land area is considered urban, so when a twister touches down, there's a 97% chance it does so in rural America.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean it can't happen. And when a storm does strike a city, it usually causes significant damage. In fact, in mid-May of 2025, a powerful EF3 tornado devastated the city of St. Louis, endangering nearly 300,000 people and causing roughly $1.6 billion in damage. Then there's the 2020 Nashville storm that was on the ground for over 60 miles and caused another $1 billion worth of damage. At this point, it's all but guaranteed that a 2026 storm will threaten a major city in the new Tornado Alley. If you enjoyed this video and want to see more just like it, be
Shit.
sure to click the link on screen now. With
Damn.
that, thank you all for watching, and we hope to see you in the next one.
Wow. That right there, y'all. That right there. Even though tornadoes, like he's right, like it's been slowly but surely like shifting east. It's crazy, man. All I gotta say is nature's scary, bro. Nature is scary, bro. But yeah, if you guys did enjoy that video, be sure to drop a like, comment down below, subscribe to the channel, man. We out this thing. Peace.